Have you been wondering which WordPress hosting platform is best for your website? Curious to know whether or not managed WordPress hosting is something that you actually need? Well, I'm here to answer all your questions and help you get on the right track with WordPress hostings. Hi, I'm Anna, the How to Grow at 10web, a platform for building, hosting, and managing WordPress websites. In this video, we're going to compare some of the top managed WordPress hosting companies out there. We're going to try to understand the pros and cons of choosing each of these WordPress hosting companies. And by the end of this video, hopefully you will know for yourself which managed WordPress hosting is best for you and whether or not it's actually something that you need. So stay tuned, hit the subscribe button for more awesome videos, and click the bell button to receive notifications about our latest posts. So what is managed WordPress hosting? You all are familiar with what web hostings are, and managed WordPress hosting is actually very similar to regular shared hostings, except all the technical aspects of running WordPress is actually taken care of by the host. Now, one common difference between managed hosting and shared hosting is that managed WordPress hostings usually do not have a cPanel. In other words, all the technical aspects are taken care of by the host, and you do not actually do anything, you do not get involved in any technical aspects in order to manage your WordPress. So if you are confident that you can take care of things like choosing the correct caching plugins and other things as well, then you can go ahead and pick shared hostings as your hosts. But if you do want to save more time and resources on not getting involved on all those technical aspects of running WordPress, then managed WordPress hosting is better for you. But if you still do want to stick to shared hostings, there are a couple of things that you should keep in mind. And here they are. First, your website will be hosted on the same server as hundreds of other sites. In these cases, what happens is that any performance issue that may occur with one website will in turn affect your website as well. It's simple as that. Just like one rotten apple may affect all in the basket.
Be it ever so apple, there's no place like home.
Next, many shared hosting companies offer an unlimited resources plan. And this is just one way to attract more users and make more money. In reality, there's no such thing as unlimited resources. So what happens is that those shared hosting companies are going to share the resources of your WordPress website with other websites as well. And once you outgrow a certain limit, they're going to basically force you to upgrade to the next plan. And last but not least, there will be a lack of added values such as automatic backups and WordPress updates, which ensure that your website's data is safe and functioning securely. So why exactly manage WordPress hosting?
Why?
Now, other areas that managed WordPress hosting is better than regular shared hosting include things like support, speed, scalability, staging, and security. Now, let's go through each one of them and understand how exactly you can benefit from them. Believe it or not, at some point you're going to need support with managed WordPress hosting, and the faster and more responsive your support is, the better for you as a customer. Luckily, with managed WordPress hostings, usually the support is 24/7, and they are actually typically focused on WordPress only as a CMS, and that makes them the experts of the platform, which will let them help you much easier. With many managed WordPress hosting providers, you will get stability and consistency in the speed of your website. And speed is actually one of the most important ranking factors on Google. And if ranking matters to you, which really should, then you really should optimize your website and make sure that the speed of it is as high as possible. We have created a separate video about website speed, and I'll leave the link to it in the description of our video. Now, consistency here is very important as well, because you do not want your website to have many outliers or any downtime. So managed WordPress hosting providers will be able to help you with this usually, and it's a huge benefit that you will receive from them. Another thing that many good managed WordPress hosting providers can help you with is scalability. Say if your website is experiencing a sudden growth in the traffic coming to it, then it is amazing that the resources that are given to your website increase as well. And this is something that managed WordPress hosting providers can help you with. And this way, you do not actually have to change the host that you're using in order to handle this traffic that has suddenly come to your website. Staging sites is another thing that you can benefit from with managed WordPress hosting providers. What a staging environment lets you do is make changes to your website before letting it go live. So for example, if you're having certain issues with your website, you can always make a copy of your live website, make changes to it, make sure that everything is okay, and then push it to live. So yes, shared hostings are a few times cheaper than managed WordPress hostings, but if you are a website owner and want to keep your hands off all the technical aspects for running your WordPress website, then managed WordPress hostings are the ones for you. When it comes to managed WordPress hosting, everything really depends on your needs. There are no right or wrong answers as to which managed WordPress hosting is best for your website. You may have a small website which is a blog, or a huge e-commerce website with a huge monthly inflow of traffic. And depending on that, the type of web hosting for WordPress that you need will vary. In order to understand which managed WordPress hosting provider is actually the best one for you, we will be comparing things like price, monthly visitors, the certain features that they have, and the support. So I picked some of the industry's top managed WordPress hosting providers, and I will be comparing them for you. So instead of you going back and forth on which features you need and which not, I will do the analysis for you. So let's get started. Now, before starting to shoot this video, I have created websites with each of these managed WordPress hosting providers, and these are exactly Kinsta, WPEngine, FlyWheel, and TWeb. And the reason why I did this is because I wanted to check and compare the performances of each of these websites, and it will be another way to compare each of these managed WordPress hosting providers. And here are the websites. But before getting into checking their performances, I would like to compare their plans and offerings as well. And starting with Kinsta, we see that their starters plan is $30, so that's the lowest plan that they have. And it goes up until $1,500, and you can always contact their sales if you want anything more. But so let's check out their starters plan. They offer you one WordPress install with it. You get 20,000 visits per month. You get 10 gigabytes of disk space and a free SSL and CDN included, which is great. And when you check their details, you see that they give you a 30-day money-back guarantee, which is actually something that not every managed WordPress hosting provider is going to give you, so it's very valuable. You get a free premium migration. You get they're powered by Google Cloud Platform, and they have data centers in 20 different locations, and the exact locations are here, which is also pretty amazing. They have self-healing technology, and this is something that actually every managed WordPress hosting is supposed to have. It's not a huge advantage. And then you get automatic daily backups, you get manual backup points, and then each backup is going to be kept for 14 days, at least for their starters plan. You get 24/7 support. You get hack and malware removal, multi-user environment, staging area, PHP 7.4, free SSL certificates. You get imported SSL certificates, so if you don't want to use theirs, you can always use the one provided by a third party. So yeah, but one thing that I did not notice that Kinsta has is a performance checker, because it's always very nice to have a place in your managed WordPress hosting provider where you can always check the performance of your website and see what issues you're having and what you can do in order to improve the performance of it and just optimize your website as much as possible. But I'm not seeing it anywhere here with Kinsta. Maybe if we check their dashboard, we'll find something there, but at least I don't see anything here. Now let's check their website performance. So you get a mobile score of 70 and a desktop score of 94, which is pretty good. We will compare these results with the results of the rest of the websites later on. Now let us examine WPEngine. Their starter plan is $5 more than the one of Kinsta, but you get 5,000 more visits per month, which isn't too much actually. You get local storage of 10 gigabytes, which is equal to what Kinsta offers, and you get to include one site with this plan. You get a 24/7 chat support, and something different about WPEngine is that with their growth plan, you get a call support as well. And this isn't something that Kinsta offers. They do not have any phone support, if I'm not mistaken, at least not with the with any of these plans. So moving on, they have a PHP 7.3, which was PHP 7.4 with Kinsta. You get a global CDN, and here you get a page performance, and this is something that Kinsta didn't have, and it's actually very useful and valuable. Now, they do have add-ons available, and these include things like WordPress multi-site, geo-target, additional sites, smart plugin manager, global edge security, but you need to actually pay an additional fee for these. Something that people may see these add-ons right under the starter plan and think that it's actually going to be included with this plan. But no, in order to use any of these, you need to pay an additional fee per month. So yeah, let us check the performance of the website hosted with WPEngine and see how this one works out. So you get a mobile score of 66 and a desktop score of 97. I think the mobile was a bit less and the desktop is a bit more. Yeah, but this isn't a huge difference. They're still both performing pretty well. We'll compare this to the one of FlyWheel and then with TenWeb and try to analyze the whole thing. Now, moving on to FlyWheel. Their starters plan is less than the previous two. It's $25 per month. You get 25,000 monthly visits. You get 5 gigabytes of disk space, which is half of what Kinsta and WPEngine offered. You get one WordPress install with this plan. Let us see in detail what else is included in this plan. You get a PHP 7.2, and it was PHP 7.3 with WPEngine and PHP 7.4 with Kinsta. You get Fly Cache, you get CDN, SSS certificates. Multi-site is not included with the starters plan, and I think it wasn't included with WPEngine as well. It costed an additional fee. Actually, third party's SSL certificate is not included in the starters plan. It's kind of surprising for me. And you get 24/7 chat support, site cloning. You do not have a phone support with the starters plan, but you get it for the agency plan. You get performance insights, also something that Kinsta didn't have, but WPEngine did include it. And let us check their performance. You get a mobile score of 56 and a desktop score of 77, which is pretty less than what Kinsta and WPEngine had. So they performed more poorly. Moving on to TenWeb. You see that their pricing is $20 per month, which is the lowest among these Managed WordPress hosting platforms. But in additional to Managed WordPress hosting, you get a lot more with TenWeb actually, and I'll explain it in detail later on. So you get Managed WordPress hosting obviously, and you get one hosted site. You have 25,000 monthly visitors and 5 gigabytes of storage. You get to connect 3 sites. Now, the difference between connecting a website and hosting a website is that with TenWeb, I'm sorry, you get more services than managed hosting. You get plugins, you get site builder, and more. I'll explain it in detail further on. So you get to you can host your website on a third-party platform, but still connected to TenWeb and use all the services that they offer, and also the plugins and everything else. You get a backup solution, 20 gigabytes of backup storage. One thing that I also wanted to mention is that with each additional gigabyte storage that you want, you're going to need to pay only $2. So if you want 6 gigabytes, you'll pay $22 per month. And same with for every extra 10,000 visitors, you'll get charged an extra $2, which isn't too much at all. You also get a website speed. You have a performance service, something that Kinsta didn't have. You get a site builder with over 30 premium widgets created by TenWeb. You get website templates. You get over 50 premium plugins. High-class security. We'll check their site performance as well. You get an SEO plugin, and this is something very similar to what Yoast offers. So it is going to let you do a lot of things, and I'll show it to you when we examine their dashboard. You get an analytics report, also something that not every Managed WordPress hosting provider offers you, and customer care, of course. Now, let us examine the performance of the website hosted with TenWeb. You get a mobile score of 76 and a 95 for the desktop, which is definitely more than FlyWheel and is pretty competitive with the rest of the Managed WordPress hosting platforms. Now let's move on and examine the dashboards of each of these Managed WordPress hosting platforms, because dashboards are also things that we should be paying attention to a lot when choosing our Managed WordPress hosting providers, and you'll see why. Let's start with the dashboard of Kinsta. So this is their dashboard, and the first thing that you see is the resource usage. So this is like a summary of the resources that you get and how much you've actually used from those resources. And when you go sites, click on your site. You get a detailed information here. This is the domains manager. You get to pick which domain you want to make primary and which one not. Then Kinsta actually does an automatic daily backup of your website, so you do not have to do it manually any day. But well, unless you're going to do you're going to change something major on your website, only then you can do a manual backup and then do the changes and be sure that your website is backed up in case you mess something up. So you can always restore to a previous version of a backup, and it's very easy to do, and you can do it for either the staging or the live version of your website. And by the way, you can change the environment of your website here. You can either have a live or staging environment, and always do the changes that you need on the staging environment, for example, and then push it to live. So they have hourly backups, manual ones, system generated, and you can always download a certain version. So from the tools, you get caching here. You can always restart your PHP. You have WordPress debugging. You can always password protect your website and not let any users visit your website unless they have the password that is required. You get an SSL certificate, and they have a forced HTTPS, and you can't either enable or disable this. I'm not sure why this is mentioned here, but the point is that if you create a website with an HTTP, it's going to force redirect it to an HTTPS. Moving on, you can always do redirects from here. You have WordPress plugins, and something odd about this is that they do give you whether or not a certain plugin is ready for an update, but you can actually update those plugins from here. You have to do it from the admin of your WordPress. So it's not exactly a plugin manager. It just gives you information of whether or not an update is available for a certain plugin. And you get the logs here. You get either the access logs or the error logs. You can pick it from here. Moving on, these are the migrations. So since I already have a website hosted on Kinsta, I cannot do any further migrations here. The Kinsta DNS. You get analytics. These are the resources that you used. These are the number of unique visits that you keep getting to your website. The bandwidth, so this is more of a usage report. Then you have the CDN usage. You do have some performance updates, but it's not exactly what things you need to optimize, what is missing. It's a bit different. Then you get a report about your responses. And it's pretty visualized in here. And then you can always manage your users from here and add them using their emails and put the roles of each of those users. You get the activity logs here, and something very awesome about Kinsta's dashboard is you get a knowledge base here. So whenever you're having trouble with a certain thing, you can always read a quick how-to about it and get a step-by-step guide about what exactly you need to do. So this was the dashboard of Kinsta. Moving on to the one of WPEngine. Okay, so WPEngine here, the first thing that you see on their dashboard is a quick overview of the data usage that you have, the number of visitors, bandwidth, storage, and what you have available. On the right side, you can actually update your version of WordPress. So from here, you get blog traffic on production staging. This is actually going to take you to the utility section. And this lets you password protect your website, and you can do it either for the production environment or the staging environment. You can always reset file permissions. You don't get a multi-site because you have to upgrade your plan in order to get a multi-site. You can either enable or disable your redirect bots, and you get caching options. You can always enable or disable them, and you can always clear your page cache from here as well. Now let us move on and see what else do they have on their dashboard. So you get a domains manager, and this is something that Kinsta had as well. So you can always add domains here or remove them from here. This is the CDN. You get redirect rules. It's always safer to do all the redirects from the server side because it's always going to be faster from there. You get all the backup points here. Now, WPEngine keeps the versions of your backups for the last month, and this is more than what Kinsta had. Kinsta saves them for the last 14 days. You can always restore a certain version of your backup. So you just select the version of the backup that you want to restore, and then you click restore, and it's going to bring it back. And you can do it for either the production environment or the legacy staging, which is the staging environment. And you can select a certain version of a backup and download the zip. And actually, it's going to ask you to enter a certain email, and it's going to send the zip to you. And you can choose to back it up now. And as I said, unless you're going to do any major changes to your website, you don't really have to do it because it's automatically doing it for you every day. So this is the information about their backup. They have the access logs and the error logs separately. SFTP users, Git push, which is not something that Kinsta had, and this is a more advanced thing for developers. SSL, utilities, which I already showed you. The site migration, and then you get links to your PHP My Admin and the WordPress admin. Moving on, from the tools, you get content performance and page performance. When you click on that, it's going to open this up. You just need to enter the URL of your website and click Run Test. And it is actually going to send you the results of the performance of your website via email. So it's not actually going to be visualized here. And this is the recent results of the test that I run for my website. It gives you a cache score, render complete, visitor complete, number of requests, and so on. What else do you get? You do not get a smart plugin manager. It does give it here on the tools, but you don't get it for this plan actually. Remember, I showed it to you on the plan section. In order to be able to use this, you need to upgrade your plan. So yeah, it was showed as an add-on, but you always need to upgrade it in order to use it. And actually for Kinsta, you did have some sort of a plugin manager, but it wasn't exactly a plugin manager. It only gave you information of whether or not updates are available. And for here, I think you get to do more, but you need to upgrade your plan. So this was it for the dashboard of WPEngine, basically. Okay, so moving on to FlyWheel. So the first thing that you're going to see in the overview section of the dashboard of FlyWheel is their domains. Well, you can always add a domain from here. And one thing that I did not mention about FlyWheel, and is always very important to consider this, is that they do not have many data centers worldwide. For example, you can pick United States, and the next thing you can pick is Europe, I think. And well, and once you connect one website to FlyWheel and from the data center of United States, the next one that you're going to connect has to be United States as well. So you cannot actually change this, which is something very important you should keep in mind when purchasing the managed WordPress hosting of FlyWheel. The next thing that you get here, before that, you have a privacy mode here, and you can always turn it on if you want to password protect your website. And this is something that the rest of the managed WordPress hosting providers had as well. In the stats section, you get just a basic overview of the usage of your plan. So the amount of visitors that you have and the amount that you're left with, the amount of stores that you're actually using and is provided to you, and so on and so forth. Then moving on to the backups, you get an automatic backup every day, just like the rest of the managed WordPress hosting providers, and you can always restore or download a certain version of your backups. And one thing different is that the backups of the last 7 days are going to be kept here only. Not anymore. I think with WPEngine it was 30 days, and with Kinsta it was 14 days. And you can clear your cache from here. You can export your logs. You get a multi-site for here. You can enable it, and it is included in the basic plan, which is an advantage over the others. Also, one very important thing that you should keep in mind here is that once they give you a PHP version of 7.3, you have to stick with the PHP version of 7.3, and you cannot actually update this or change this. And this is also something you need to keep in mind when considering FlyWheel as your managed hosting provider. And also, one thing that they do not have, and I've been looking for it, they actually don't have it, is the redirect section. So you cannot do any redirects using FlyWheel, and it's always very important to have the ability to redirect from the server's side, because that way the redirects are always going to load faster, and it's always very nice when your managed WordPress hosting provider gives you the chance to do the redirects using their platform. And FlyWheel does not have that. So moving on to the dashboard of TenWeb. Now their overview section is very similar to those of the rest of the managed WordPress hosting providers. You get a quick introduction of what you have and how much of storage is left for you, how much of visitors is left for you, and so on and so forth. You get a plugin manager over here, and remember, this is something I mentioned with Kinsta. They didn't give you the chance to upgrade or make any changes using their dashboard, but with TenWeb you can always select a few plugins and update and whatever. Actually, there is more information about it and in these sections. So this is just a quick overview of what you get. You can always optimize your images from here. You just enable it and it does it for you. You get a performance check. Before having this, you get to run the performance, and then it gives you all the information such as the performance grade and the page load time that you have. Total page size, and then it also gives you information about some optimization tips in order to improve the performance of your website, which is a great advantage, as you don't really get this with any others. For example, Kinsta does not have this offered, and others actually give it to you if you pay an extra amount. So this is actually included in all the plans of TenWeb, and this is actually a great value for TenWeb's users. With SEO, this is actually, once you enable it, this is something very similar to Yoast. I'll explain it in detail in the further part of the video. And then you get the backups from here, and you can always actually update your WordPress version from here, just one click. And the security, about all of these I will be mentioning later. So let us start with the hosting services. So the reason why there's separate hosting services is because with the rest of the managed WordPress hosting providers, they only have those managed WordPress hosting and that's it. And with TenWeb, it's actually different. You get the hosting services and the managing services, and you get page building services. You get the plugins, the themes, and all these backup, image optimizer, SEO, security as a service, and so on and so forth. So it actually gives you much more value. So remember that we checked their plans. It was $20 per month for the starters plan, and actually you get all of these included in the plan. So basically it is a lot cheaper than the rest of the managed WordPress hosting providers. So once you go to the info section of their hosting services, you get just the general info. You get SFTP access, and you can always modify it. You get database access. You get your resource usage information, so just basically what you've been provided, how much you have left, and so on. You get a domain manager, so you can point your domains from here. You get the different types of tools. You get website caching, so you can always clear the cache from here, and it always loads your website
a lot faster once you do it, obviously. And then you can always enable your HTTPS. You can either add custom HTTPS certificate or generate a free HTTPS certificate. And remember, the difference between TimeWeb and FlyWheel is that FlyWheel wouldn't let you have a third-party SSL certificate, which was pretty odd for me. And then you get the WPEngine. Again, with a FlyWheel, you only get a 7.3 version, and you cannot change it. But with TimeWeb, you can always change the version of your PHP, and you can restart the PHP. And this isn't something you're going to need a lot, but you might as well one day if you're having certain issues. With redirects, again, something that FlyWheel didn't have at all. You can always do the redirects using TimeWeb's manager here. Then you get the restore points, so it does the automatic backups every day, and you can always restore them for the last 10 days. But if you want any further backups, like for more previous dates, then you can use the backup service. And I'll explain this further later on. And then you get the logs here, you get the access and error logs. So this was everything concerning the hosting services. Now with TimeWeb, as I mentioned already, you get to build websites as well. So it has over 30 templates with custom TimeWeb widgets. And you get to pick any of those templates and build a website with a very easy drag and drop style. And you get to import it with one click, or you can preview it before importing it. And you see the mobile version here and the desktop right next to it. So it's pretty simple and fast and easy. And the best thing is that you get to do it from only one platform. And so you don't have to change from platform to another platform in order to build a website and then host a website and so on. So in the plugin manager section, you get the names of the plugins that you have. You can always update it from here. You can deactivate a certain plugin and many more. You can see your inactive plugins here. You can see the available updates over here. You can always schedule some updating. So if you want a certain plugin updated every month, you can pick that. You can enable your scheduling. You can pick monthly and go ahead and do that. Or if you don't want a certain plugin to be updated at all, you can do that from here as well. And then you can see the scheduling history, of course. And then when it comes to the themes, once you import a certain theme, you're going to see it here. You can always activate it. You can delete it. And you can do scheduling of it and so on, and then you get a scheduling history over here. And then once you go to the backup section, you get a lot more services from here. So what I mean is that you can always do the scheduling either on the monthly basis, weekly, daily, every 12 hours, 6 hours, and the real time means it's going to back it up for you every hour. And this is actually a very useful thing to do if you're a e-commerce website, but if not, you don't really have to do this. And the good thing about this service is that this is a separate one from the one that is provided to you by the hosting. So you are going to get your daily automatic backups, but with here you can have unlimited amount of backups. So it's not going to be kept for you for example, 7 days or 14 days or a month. It's going to be kept unlimitedly, and unless you obviously delete it. TimeWeb uses differential backups. What it means is that it's going to back up only the version, only the things that you have changed from the previous version of your backup. So it's not going to do the whole thing, only the parts that you have changed after the previous backup. And this is going to help you save a lot of storage. So this is one huge advantage for you. And another thing is that it's kept unlimitedly. So you can always restore it whenever you want. When it comes to the image optimizers, you get to pick a conservative mode, balanced, or extreme, and the difference is the amount of reduction that you want. And then once you pick it, you can always do the image optimization from the overview section, and it's only one click required, literally. And then when it comes to the SEO plugin, it's actually very, very similar to what Yoast offers. You have custom metadata, and then you can create an XML sitemap. You get search analytics, which comes from Google Search Console, and then you get to do redirects. So it's very similar to what Yoast offers, and it's also very easy to use and gives you very important insights. And then the information about the security, you can always scan your files. Well, it does it for you, and it lets you see what changes have been made to your files, and if there is anything odd about it, you can always check and see who did it. And it's basically a regular security check for you. And then in the performance section, once you do it, once you run a performance check, it's just going to give you all the information that you need. You can always do scheduling of the performance, so whether you want to do it on a daily basis, weekly, or monthly, you just need to enable your scheduling and do whatever you need. So basically, the difference between TenWeb and the rest of the managed WordPress hosting providers is that TenWeb is much more than just a managed WordPress hosting provider. As you saw, it is also a website builder. It is also gives you different types of plugins and themes and different services such as SEO and image optimizer and performance checker. And this is something actually that is included with all the plans. So this isn't a certain add-on or something of additional payment. This is always included with all the versions. So obviously you can always create your website and manage your website and host it with TenWeb, or you can always create your website from a third-party website and then host it with TenWeb. So you can do all of that. You don't have to do all together, but it just gives you the opportunity, and it's pretty nice to use only one platform for all those things in order to not get overwhelmed and in order to have a very good custom dashboard for managing all of those services that you have. So one more thing that I wanted to mention about TenWeb is that it also gives you a 7-day free trial, and this is something very important to mention, and I forgot to say it when I was introducing you to the pricing. Well, you can always sign up for the 7-day free trial and check it out for yourself, see if it works, and if not, you can always move on to another platform, and it doesn't really require a credit card from you. So you just sign up, and there you go, you have a 7-day free trial. And actually with FlyWheel, you get a demo version of, as well, and with Kinsta you get a 30-day money-back guarantee, but with WPEngine you didn't get any of those at all. So that's a very important thing as well. Basically, that was it. I think with TenWeb dashboard, with the WPEngine dashboard, and with Kinsta Dashboard, these were all the information that I could give you for now.
So now that you have seen the comparison of all these managed WordPress hosting providers, I really encourage you to test out the 7-day free trial of TenWeb and let me know in the comments how it worked out for you. And if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and put thumbs up under the video.